Good night, good day, good afternoon. So I thank you for following me. I'm talking now about the came from the manuscripts in the Middle Age since the end of the uh, 1 or 2 years before the start of the Middle Age. That in that Middle Age there were two different types of rules in France. I'm talking about the West, the trovas and sonnets and poems in the West. So it is necessary to classify into two types. The first type is called the royal epopee. What is royal epopee? Because the kings ruled France. I'm taking as an example France, and they were. There was also the epopee about those kings and what they did against the enemies of the people that lived in that west area. It's not only France, but also not German. German helped, okay, of course, but the Iberic Peninsula that is comprised by Spain and Portugal. And the second one was when some place like Italy, a nation, that time was already a nation, it was divided into feudals. So it was the feudalism epopee. But we are focusing our work only in the first manuscript of the Middle Age. So here, that's my scheme to talk a little bit faster because it's necessary due to the short time I have to post. Yeah. And then first there was in the before the beginning of the Middle Age, it was next to Middle Age, was a great king from Germany. His name was Charles the Great, Charlemagne. In France, they call him Charlemagne. Here in Portugal, also in not Brazil, because Brazil were only for native people. But in Portuguese was Carlos o Grande, the Great. Charles the Great was the emperor of the East and some also from the West. Yeah, and it was necessary to clarify that he was a good warrior, and I showed a small chart where you can see the date when he was born and when he died. What he did. What it's necessary to explain is that they were fighting. He had a huge army divided in several different columns, and then these were comprised always by a group of military noblemen that went to fight against the Arabs. The Arabs were more, some were from Moros, called the Moros, I think in Spain, and Saracens. And these people were conquered Spain and also Portugal. And the big battles were occurred in Spain. And the first manuscript came from a battle that happened in Toledo in Spain. And this manuscript is called the La Chanson de Roland et Olivier. Who were Roland et Olivier? Olivier, two noblemen from France, from the region of Provence, yeah? Or maybe from the island of French island. So they start the new language that we call the Roman, and then later it was transformed into French. Maybe I didn't explain well, but it means that they came from a region which developed the language named, as we know now, French. Well, the crusade was comprised by a group of noblemen, the pageants, and one archbishop that went in front of the column to fight against the Arabs. In this town, Toledo, the fight was very huge, very furious, very tough people. The Arabs were tough, and they killed many of the noblemen that went in that crusade. And Charles the Great had two noblemen working for him. It was Roland, that's in French, and the other one is Olivier. They were friends, and they had this huge battle they had to fight. And what happened is the first manuscript was written, nobody knows who wrote it. They say it is an unknown manuscript. And it is comprised by 6 lines. Then we can classify it as a trova. Not a sonnet, but a trova. Trova is a short poem, as I said before. I've classified it before. And these people, the archbishop was the last one to die. Roland and his friend were killed by the Arabs, and the archbishop was next to him was a pageant, and the pageant asked him to maybe try to escape, but it was not possible due to the huge number of Moors or Arabs, and they started killing everybody from this crusade. And this tale is named in French La Chanson de Roland. La Chanson de Roland, it is we can classify as the first manuscript written in the West, yes, in Europe. And that was this chanson explain what happened in this battle. Well, La Chanson, it is a canto. A canto is a strophe, and there was, they call some place canto. La Chanson is also a song, but we can classify it as a trova. And then they say the following. It was written in a very old language that was changed to the new French language. I will try to read in the translation first in French. Yeah. It was so difficult to translate it because it was old French, as I said before. Par les champs via Turpin, l'archevêque. Then the archbishop was Turpin, he was in the front. Now, to the field go Turpin, the archbishop. Jamais tel ton ciré ne chant la messe. He would never more say the mass. Church, in the church. Yeah? He was an archbishop, not a priest, but a little bit higher. He was the last one to be killed, he and his pageant. Roland and Olivier were already dead. And then he says here, jamais tel ton sire ni chant la messe, qui de la personne est fait autant d'exploit. How can I translate it? It was nobody could help them, and nobody could make a substitution of what he did as an archbishop. That's what he says. You dis au page, he says to the pageant. Mon Dieu, que Dieu l'envoie tous les maux. I hope that God takes away all the evil. "Il cheval est frappé." Then the horse, he fell down, and he said to his patient, after he said to his patient, "Les païens s'y sont, oui, de Toledo, d'aussi tel coup." Then the patient also was fighting with his superior, that was the archbishop, and he was also killed. And the archbishop was the last one. And what he did was, that is written, and I tried to translate it from the old ancient French, and say, "Il cheval est frappé." Then the horse that just fall down. And then that was in Toledo, as I said before. Tal qu'il y avait à mourir, si l'herbe verte. Well, then he came with a new horse, on the horse, and then he was stabbed to death, because that time they used, of course, there was always stabbing people. They just killed like this. Nobody knows which kind of sword, but I think it was this type of Arabic sword that they used in the Middle Age. And then, "si l'herbe verte." Então, that means that the archbishop fell from the horse and over green grass. Some people say that this little trova was written by Tirol, but it's not clear enough to say so. So, and that's what I want to say to you. That's the oldest, and I will put it in a short video that you can take a look and read it. My translation from French. This is how it started and ended. Well, all the story is that Charles the Great was a man, a huge and strong warrior, and he courageous, and he had many battles during his holy life, all during his life. So thank you very much. Please, if you like this video, click on the round button there, and then you can comment, and if you want, you can ask some questions, and I'll be pleased to answer to you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. So bye.